I wrote that every student should be able to come to a class and learn something from each session, and this idea that I was thinking more, instead of not only teaching to the top, I think a big problem for a lot of people is also just trying to teach to the lowest common denominator.
How do you think of it as, you know, I'm going to aim here, or I'm going to aim here? If you think of it, instead of thinking of this line of my teaching that's going to point to one level, of like, how do I create like a spray or something? A spray, if you put it on a spray nozzle instead of a line nozzle, if you're, for those of you who are stuck doing a lot of house cleaning. Yeah, so how do you spray so that everybody gets something rather than just wherever the line aims at? I often think in metaphors, actually, so I certainly don't plan to make a statement like that, but it helps me visualize and understand that. And so thinking about, you know, when you have a spray bottle and you're cleaning, you can do it on a straight line stream, or you could have it on a spray. And if we have it on a straight line, we're just going to reach one person. But if we have it on spray, we can meet lots of people. So if a single individual asks a question, you want to respond directly to the student who asks the question, on the assumption that a question that one individual asks is going to be valuable to the rest of the class. But I think it's also very important to acknowledge that your class is made up of individuals, and when an individual addresses you, I think it makes sense to come back to them and address them as an individual. I think it can be helpful also to train yourself to constantly be, you know, to be a student all the time as a teacher, and be thinking, this is an opportunity for me to learn about teaching. And this is going to sound silly, but I think about it all the time in yoga classes. You know, I often feel like I'm learning something about teaching from going to yoga classes when there's a teacher where they can have, say, like, does anyone here do yoga? Like, there's a mixed levels class. How do you teach a mixed levels class when there's people who've never done yoga before and there's people who've been doing it for 15 years? The idea that you could have someone who's doing yoga for the first time in your class and have an advanced student who's been practicing for 20 years, and they can both get something out of the class, that to me is a really difficult thing to achieve. But, you know, if you can pull it off and kind of make the advanced person feel advanced and intelligent, but not bored and talked down to, and make the new person not feel confused but challenged, then you're managing to achieve that balance.
Well, there's also relating to that, the problem of information assessment. I think it's oddly sort of problematic in some of the courses we in American Studies teach, because me particularly, I deal a lot with fairly modern pop culture, and there can be this assumption that, well, of course, everybody knows the Blues Brothers, everybody knows that movies used to be in black and white. And then you get the papers back, and 50% of the class didn't know that movies used to be in black and white, and no one has seen the Blues Brothers. So there can be this real problem with even finding a baseline for what the, you know, lowest common denominator.
That's what Alan Bloom was talking about. We haven't all seen the Blues Brothers, so clearly there's some kind of cultural deficit. Safer instead of like making them feel stupid if they haven't heard of it, you know, I find that it's, you know, there's a way of repeating something that most people know about, but still making all those people feel like special and smart because they know about it, and not making the other people feel bad that they don't know about it. I think it's really easy to, you know, it's really easy to fall into making students feel belittled, you know, without meaning to, because there are things. What I've found is that what each of us know seems like it's obvious.
Yeah.
And in a way, that's a way of like diminishing our own intelligence. Well, I know this, so it's obvious, but just because you know it, it doesn't mean it's obvious to somebody else. Yeah.